Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles Sebastian, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We'll cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Listen, today we got a hell of a show for you guys, and it's a continuation of this big drama story that's taking place in the sports world. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So as you guys know, all hell broke loose yesterday when Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe, Molly Karam, and Monica McNutt got into this huge 40-minute argument debate on ESPN First Take. And they were essentially discussing a number of things. They were talking about the coverage of the way the WNBA is covered. They were talking about the incident that took place on the basketball court with Caitlin Clark. And they were talking about, the role that ESPN and other networks have played, or lack thereof, in the coverage of the WNBA. And they got into this huge dispute, right? Huge argument. We produced the show on it, and many people were reacting to it. And it turns out some ESPN employees themselves were reacting to it. And in this case, we're talking about Kendrick Perkins, because Kendrick Perkins, like everyone, saw that argument that took place on live television. And he himself decided to weigh into the conversation. Now, what was interesting to me was the angle that Kendrick Perkins approached this discussion that took place on ESPN First Take. And he was basically kind of sending out a warning to Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith in terms of the language that they used and the choices of words that they use. And he told them that, listen, you guys need to be careful with the type of language that you're using when you're covering women's sports, in this case, the WNBA. So these are the comments that we want to kind of focus in on today. But before we even get to what Kendrick Perkins had to say yesterday on ESPN, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time makes getting NBA Finals tickets even faster and easier than ever before. For example, I am super excited about the games between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. With Game Time tickets, I can easily pick the best tickets for me. I love that I can choose between different deals. I have the option to select the cheaper deal, the best option deal, or my favorite, the flash deal. The flash deal gives me the option to find discounts that I can only find on Game Time. Once I select the ticket I want, I can view my seat. And it's not just restricted to the NBA. I can also look for the best ticket deals for other sports like football, baseball, or concerts, or comedy or theater shows. Included in my purchase, I also have a 24-hour return guarantee, a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do now is want to play exactly what Kendrick Perkins had to say yesterday on ESPN, and then want to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what Kendrick Perkins had to say here.
But Perk, I really want to get your thoughts on this, because I know we started off the show with your tweet saying, I got to stay out of the women's business. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a few things. One, Shanae, you, Andrea, Monica, Malika, just at our network, y'all do an exceptional job for us covering the NBA, right? And now we're starting to see a lot of powerful men start to cover the WNBA, right? And there got to be some fairness in that. They should be able to voice their opinions, but they also got to be held they also have to be responsible to do their homework when covering the WNBA. And I'm looking at guys like Charles Barkley, LeBron James, Stephen A., Shannon Sharpe, right? Why do I point out those four guys? You have to be careful about the words that you put out there. The word hating, the word jealous, those are words, those are triggering words for women, right? Like in anything. I've been married to one, okay? I've been married to a woman for going on 15 years. And those two words, hating, especially when you're talking about referring to another woman or other women, those are triggering words. So you have to do a better job with that. They have to do a better job with that because it's not hating and it's not jealousy, it's competition. Pat McAfee, I think he owes everyone an apology, especially Caitlin Clark. You cannot call her out of her name like that. You can't. No one could come to his defense, and it's unacceptable. At the end of the day, you have to respect the WNBA, respect the women that are playing, respect the women that are covering the game, and you have to make sure you do it in great fashion. If you're a man that's jumping into this to that atmosphere,
I really appreciate you, Perk.
So you heard what Kendrick Perkins had to say yesterday on ESPN. What are my comments on this? Look, I think a lot of people have a lot of things to say. I think there are a lot of people that want people to see things the way that they see them. Listen, Stephen A. Smith brought up a point yesterday during his monologue that I believe Kendrick Perkins was speaking to in terms of the language that Stephen A. Smith used. But Stephen A. Smith brought up a point towards the tail end of what he was saying yesterday, which essentially was, look, we have to kind of be very, very mindful of the words that we use when we discuss women's sports, but whenever we talk about men's sports, we don't take this approach. And that was the truth. And I think Kendrick Perkins proved his point. He proved his point. And I think what Kendrick Perkins is doing, probably inadvertently, is basically saying that whenever we talk about women in sports, we need to handle them with kid gloves. Because words like jealousy and envy and all those other words, those are words we've used whenever we talk about men's sports. And we've used words like words that are much worse. If we're being honest, the way we cover men's sports, we don't even waste the time to think about how this is going to be perceived. We just say whatever the hell we want to say because it has become commonplace to basically say whatever you think about men, especially in the United States. And it's a culture that's been fostered over the last few years. I don't really understand where the hell it came from. It's very weird. When I was in the States, it was never like this. I'm going to be back next year, and I've already kind of set my brain to avoid any of these people that get into these useless conversations. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to have these nuanced, debates and what do you think about the culture in terms of men? And I have no interest in it because I think there are bigger issues to deal with than this foolishness that's taking place here, where everyone seems to be ready to be offended by any little thing. So what? He used the word jealousy. It's the word that came to mind. It's what he feels describes the situation, so he chose that word. And if this is what we're going to do, if we're going to now start becoming PC about sports debate, then I think the entire thing gets ruined. Number one. Number two, people like Monica McNutt have lamented the fact that, Stephen A. Smith and you could have done more to cover women's sports, WNBA. Well, okay. Now that we're covering it, now you want to put parameters on us. Well, at least that's what Kendrick Perkins wants to do. So what exactly do you want? If you say you want us to cover the WNBA, we're covering it. Now you're saying, no, in this case, Kendrick Perkins, you can't cover it this way. You have to cover it that way. Why? Why? This is my question. Why? Why must there be a double standard? If you see, this is the thing that gets me. There's some people that have argued about, the pay gap between NBA players and WNBA players, right? Well, there's a lot that comes with that in terms of the NBA and NBA players. Not only is there more interest in the sports, which generates more income, but the way they're covered and critiqued is much harsher. So if you want to be on a level playing field, that also comes with it. That also comes with it. So for Kendrick Perkins to put that point out there, I really don't understand what he was saying. To bring up the point about his wife and this and that and this and this and this. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? That if you use a word around my wife, it could be triggering. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? So if you use a word about a man, maybe he won't feel a type of way. Is that what you're saying? So I don't understand why Kendrick Perkins said that. I think that these people are going to ruin this entire thing if they keep this up. Because I think there's a lot of virtue signaling that's taking place. Yesterday in the show that we produced, we saw a lot of that. Right? I saw a lot of that in the comment section. A lot of guys jumping in there trying to virtue signal, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why there needs to be, I don't know why these guys need to be so careful with the words that they're using. If they're covering the sport the way they would cover men's sport, why does it need to be different? Why does it need to be different? Because there, if you start saying that, then you're exposing a double standard, which I think these people are not even aware that they're doing. And I don't think it helps women's sports by creating a double standard. I don't believe so. I think it should be covered the same across the board. Period. Period. Right? So these are my thoughts on it. Obviously, people are going to have varying opinions. It's your right. But I just wanted to share my take on it. So what I want to know from you guys is this. Number one, what do you think about our analysis? Number two, what do you think about the points that Kendrick Perkins was making? Do you think it was right? Do we think it was wrong? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments, and we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.